I'm convinced the Big Ten will win its third straight college football national championship in 2026. The question is, who will it be? I'll tell you. Locked on Big Ten starts right now.
You are Locked On Big Ten, your daily podcast on the Big Ten Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Big Ten. I'm Craig Sheeman, 40 years as a sports talk show host and play-by-play announcer. And I want to thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Hit that free subscribe button down below, please, while you're watching. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. So, Big Ten, three-peat, natty, I think so. Plus, one particular national pundit thinks a different team in the Big Ten that I think could win it all. We'll have that. Plus, our picks. It's Friday as we go to the weekend, a little basketball. And the never too early Vegas odds for the national championship of football next year. Let's get to it. Clearly, we've had a lot of fun this week with the Big Ten's Ohio State Buckeyes winning the college football national championship. And I think we've even had more fun talking about the Big Ten thanks to Michigan the previous year winning back-to-back national titles. It's led to a lot of discussions about the Big Ten being the best conference in college football, a position we agree with here on Locked On Big Ten. Others don't. We do. We think we're right. So with that in mind, we boldly think that the Big Ten will present the next college football national champion as well. That's right. The 2025 season crowned in January of 2026. It's going to be another Big Ten team. You know what that means? Big Ten three-peat. Michigan, Ohio State, and then who? Well, let's discuss that a little bit. Let's find out which team we think it might be. There's so many good ones to choose from. So I got a little bit of a list, a short list. But first and foremost, as we sit here in late January of 2025, already looking ahead to next year, I think we're going to circle Dan Lanning's Oregon Ducks. Now, I got a thing to say about Ohio State, and I got something to say about Penn State as well. We'll get to that. But let's talk about the Ducks for a second. But you Ducks fans out there are great. You enjoyed the season. You enjoyed your first season in the Big Ten. And, it was a great year. I know it didn't feel like it. I feel like, felt like it ended with a thud. But you went undefeated in the regular season. You won the Big Ten championship in your first year. And you were ranked number 1 for 8 straight weeks. It was a great season for Dan Lanning and the Oregon Ducks. Got a horrible draw in the playoffs. And I know you got to beat the best to be the best. I get it. And that's always the case when you win a national championship. You have to beat good teams. And they got Ohio State right out of the box. But the best team in the country should have got the easiest draw, and they got the hardest draw. And for a team that had not played in 3.5 weeks, it'd been nice to have a lesser opponent to chisel some of the rust off in the first half, get rolling, and then probably would have been more prepared to take on a team like Ohio State if it were the second game. The committee's got to fix the seeding, and I think they're going to. I've heard a lot of chatter behind the scenes. That's a must. That's a top priority. That was ridiculous what Oregon had to do. Not taking away anything from Ohio State. They were on a mission. There's no doubt about it. But that should not have been the first game, the Rose Bowl, for the Oregon Ducks, considering the season that they had. Nevertheless, let's talk about them a little bit more. That certainly left a bad taste in everybody's mouth. And look, I think they're going to be back. Number one reason, Dan Lanning's teams are always good. There's not going to be much fall off here from the Ducks moving forward, even though there's going to be a lot of changes at a lot of positions. Most importantly, at quarterback, no question about it. Dylan Gabriel going to be gone after a Heisman candidate year. It was a wonderful year. Sophomore Dante Moore. Remember, he transferred in from Eugene about the same time that Dylan Gabriel did, but Dante Moore came in from UCLA when Chip Kelly bolted to become the OC at Ohio State. He's young, he's raw, he's very athletic, and he's actually got a little bit of experience under his belt. It's not like I know we didn't see much of him this year, but he played a little bit his freshman year at UCLA. So he's got a few snaps of experience. That's good. It's not going to be coming in cold. And you put him into the system, which he has learned through practice throughout the whole year behind Dillon Gabriel. Let's face it, this offensive system with Dan Lanning is so quarterback friendly that a lot of guys can succeed in it. Bo Nix wasn't anything special at Auburn. He came to Oregon and was incredible and became a first-round draft pick in the NFL because he was so accurate. Dillon Gabriel completes a lot of passes. So I have no doubt that won't continue. I think it will continue no matter who's in there at quarterback. So that's an advantage there when you're looking at Dante Moore. Now you lose a lot of weapons like Tez Johnson. It's going to be tough, but that wide receiver room, Evan Stewart, there's a slew of young guys ready to go and step up. I think they'll be okay there. The offensive line's going to have to play a little game of wait and see here. A couple of upperclassmen, whether they're going to use that extra year of eligibility like George Silva or Matthew Bedford. The defensive front, you got returning edge rusher Mateo Ugalele, who is going to be a first-round pick in 2026. The front seven is loaded with young blue chippers that are going to be back. And nobody's talking about this. At least not enough in my mind. I think Oregon got maybe the steal of the year in the transfer portal. Safety Dylan Thieneman out of Purdue. He's got 2 years experience. He's led the Boilermakers in tackles for 2 years as a freshman, leading tackler, leading interceptor, great player. And they just had so many problems at Purdue, but he was not one of them. This is a good get, and he's going to love playing for a winner, and Oregon's going to love having Thieneman at safety back there. He's got a couple more years of eligibility left, too. So I look for the Oregon Ducks to run right back to the front of the line with the Big Ten. Now, having said that, who else is going to make a run? Well, naturally, let's talk about Ohio State for just a second. They are, after all, the national champions. And look, they're going to be loaded. They're going to lose a lot of guys to the NFL. Remember, the secret sauce to Ohio State this year was, Ryan Day went out and got the $20 million of name, image, and likeness money. And he talked to a lot of guys that were thinking about going to the NFL to staying one more year. So you got NFL caliber players, an extra year of experience. They stayed with a mission. A lot of them are going to be gone now. They are going to indeed now go to the NFL. Eligibility is up. But at a school like Ohio State, where you just are top 5 every year in recruiting, it's next man up. They're going to have next man up all the way. And look, they still, I think, arguably have the best player in the conference on each side of the ball, Jeremiah Smith at wide receiver, and Caleb Downs in the defensive back. The defensive back, Caleb Downs, might be the best defensive player in the league. So they're going to be fine, and they're going to be right back in the mix. The question will be, they had an experienced quarterback at Will Howard, and now he's gone. Remember, they had 5-star freshman Julian Sayin, who did not play this year, and he's going to be ready to go. He's been in the system for a year. He's ready. He's talented. There'll probably be a little bit of a learning curve there, maybe a few mistakes early on, but I think they can go as far as that young quarterback can take them. So with all that being said, talking about the Oregon Ducks, talking a little bit about the Ohio State Buckeyes. One national analyst says he likes Penn State to come out. In fact, not only be the best of the Big Ten, be the best in the country. Penn State, Nittany Lions. I'll have more on that in a moment and who said it. Be sure to subscribe if you don't mind. Hit that little subscribe button. It's free. And follow Locked On Big Ten for free wherever you get your podcast. That way you get the latest episode of Locked On Big Ten as soon as it becomes available each and every day. And if you don't mind, share, follow, and like. That really helps us out. I love that. Don't forget, you can go to our website, talkbig10.com. We've got all of our podcasts there, but we've got links where you could buy merchandise if you want an Ohio State championship shirt, you want an Oregon Duck pennant, you want a hat from Penn State. It's all right there. Links for your convenience. It's all at Talk Big Ten. So feel free to check that out as well. All right. I'm going to tell you who said Penn State going to be the best team in the country. We'll have that here. And it's a guy I respect. And we'll run through the pros and cons of this in 1 minute right here on Locked On Big Ten. If you like going to games and making memories and all that good stuff, well, you can get your tickets at Game Time. Game Time. You just download it on your app, your phone, and make those experiences that you'll remember forever. Going to these big games, NFL playoff games, Super Bowls, basketball games, concerts and comedy shows. If it needs a ticket, Game Time can get you there. And Game Time makes it easier to create those unforgettable moments. They give it a new feature, Game Time Picks. It basically weeds out all the stuff you're not interested in. It just filters out the fluff and shows you the great deals on the great seats and the games you want to go to and the events you want to go to. And it is really easy to use. Plus, it gives you a view from the seat of the ticket of which you're about to buy. Got their lowest price guarantee, on-time ticket delivery. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Once again, that's at Game Time. Thanks for making Locked On Big Ten your first listen each and every day. Thank you, especially you everydayers out there. Meanwhile, be sure to hit that subscribe button down below. Thank you very much, especially you everydayers who haven't yet. I would appreciate that. And also share, follow, and like Locked On Big Ten. And check out our website, talkbig10.com. While we're talking about the Big Ten National Championships 2 years ago, this year, Big Ten dominating everything, Fox College football analyst Joel Klatt, I think he's one of the best in the business. He's picking James Franklin and the Penn State Nittany Lions to be the number one team in the country for the 2025 season. How about that? What do you think about that? Now, look, Penn State came up just a little bit short this year. They get better every year. They did make the semifinal. They lost to runner-up Notre Dame just by a field goal. He likes the improvement arc that they've shown over the last couple of years. Now, let's dive into this a little bit. And see if we agree with Joel Klatt. Certainly, I think Penn State's in the mix. Are they good enough to be number one? Are they good enough to win a national championship? They got close. So he likes the fact that they have perhaps the most experienced quarterback in the Big Ten, Drew Allar. I like Drew Allar. He's got 29 starts. The thing I like about him is he doesn't turn the ball over. However, I could use that against him as well. There are times where I don't think he takes enough shots downfield because he's too conservative, because he doesn't want to turn the ball over. He's had that baked into his coaching. But then again, it might not be his fault, because the number one complaint I have, and the biggest reason I think that Penn State may not be the best team in the country, is they have just never put a deep threat wide receiver core on the field. More on that in a moment, because I don't know if that's going to change. So I also, Drew Allar, another thing. Fine season this year. Made some of the worst throws I've ever seen him throw when the game starts to get big, particularly in the Notre Dame game. Just lofted some ducks up there. They were horrible throws. I don't know what he was doing. It was very unlike him. I didn't like it. We also know that Penn State, they got a couple of awesome running backs, Nicholas Singleton and Katron Allen, and they're both coming back, and they're going to be both coming back for their fourth season together. These guys know the back of each other's hands. They know what everybody's going to do. They work great together, interchangeable, and it's a great weapon and a great luxury that Penn State has had, that they've got that 1-2 punch at running back, and it's coming back again for fourth year. And they're going to play behind an offensive line that returns 4 of the 5 starters. So that's always big. I never worry about Penn State on the line, offensively or defensively. That's in their DNA. And they've been rolling now. James Franklin, 11 years. He's just replacing guys. He's got it down cold. On defense, of course, defensive coordinator Tom Allen suddenly left at the end of the season, take the same job with Dabo Swinney and Clemson. Now, I think it was more of a personality thing. I think James Franklin is kind of an even keel guy. Look, just a little more chill than Tom Allen. Tom Allen is type A. He's loud and hyper. Maybe they weren't a good fit. I think that's why I had him up in the booth instead of the field and sideline, to be honest with you. So anyway, as far as personnel goes, Dennis Sutton, he's returning. Joel Klatt thinks that there's enough pieces here returning on this team that, again, barely missed out on making the national championship game to maybe get back there and get to the championship game moving forward. He thinks they're going to be the best team in the country. Look, certainly Penn State's going to be good. They're going to be in the mix. Almost certainly they're going to make the playoffs. But again, Penn State's shortcoming the past few years has and continues to be a wide receiver. And I just can't figure out why they can't get that nailed down. If they don't get that fixed, they're not winning a national championship. So, but if they do get it fixed, count me as one of those people that agrees with Joel Klatt that this could be the best team in the country this upcoming 2025 season. How about that? So let's talk about that wide receiver season. We talked about it a little bit on yesterday's podcast. Harrison Wallace III and Amari Evans, they both hit the transfer portal. Wallace is going to go play for Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss, final year of eligibility. Hey, he's 46 catches, 700 yards, and a touchdown. Decent production, right? Evans was visiting with Washington Huskies this week. No word yet on where he's going to go. He had 21 catches and 5 touchdowns this year. He's got one more year of eligibility left. So with Wallace and Evans leaving, don't forget, this is big. They're tight end, Ty Warren. If you're an everydayer here on Locked On Big Ten, I'm a huge fan of this guy. I think he's a wonderful tight end. He can throw, he can catch, he can run. He's going to be a great weapon in the NFL, whoever picks him up. And, Drew Allar and Andy Kolonicki, their offensive coordinator, they got to get some speed and firepower on the outside, though. It's a problem. Now, they did pick up a couple of people. Kyron Hudson out of USC and wide receiver Devontae Ross out of Troy. So we'll see. See if Hudson may have some potential here. They had all those wide receivers at USC, and they had a disappointing year. And most of them scattered out on the transfer portal. So we'll see how he does at Penn State. And now let's take a moment to look at the Nittany Lions schedule this year. Now, remember, they have a penchant of losing some big games. Usually it's 2 games. Usually it's Michigan and Ohio State. Well, they didn't have to play Michigan this year. They did play Ohio State. They lost that. And they lost to Oregon in the Big Ten Championship. So they still got those 2 losses before they got into the playoffs. So moving forward to 2025, and they've got their big games, the 2 that they have to keep an eye on. They got a September date against Oregon. And it's obviously a rematch of the Big Ten Championship game. And they have a road game at Ohio State, November 1st. No Michigan, but you got to do Ohio State. So there's the 2 games that could potentially trip them up. These are the type of games that have tripped them up in the past. Their non-conference schedule, pretty light. Dates against Nevada, FIU, and Villanova. And their Big Ten schedule includes 3 non-bowlers in Northwestern, UCLA, and Michigan State. They do have the Indiana Hoosiers, a playoff team, on the schedule as well. And, of course, they're trying to match their hopefully get another 11-win season for Curt Cignetti from this past year. So, look, there's a lot of good for Penn State. And, unless they get a speedy wide receiver or 2, we'll see. And they got to have good hands, too. They just can't be fast. They may come up short. They got to take care of that. If they do, sky's the limit for James Franklin and Penn State. And then I will agree with Joel Klatt's assessment of the Penn State Nittany Lions. Hey, heading into the weekend here, how about some hoops? A lot of basketball around the Big Ten. Friday tonight, we got a top 25 matchup. 21st ranked Michigan is at 11th ranked Purdue. That's at 8:00 Eastern on Fox. Penn State is at Iowa, 9:00 Eastern on FS1, and UCLA is at Washington. That's 11 p.m. Eastern, 8:00 Pacific, FS1. A lot of hoops to watch on Friday night. Saturday, more men's basketball. 8th ranked Michigan State. They're at Rutgers. That could be a tough place to play. It's a 1:30 Eastern CBS game. 15th ranked Oregon is at Minnesota. That's a night game on the Big Ten Network. Now, Sunday, Maryland is at Indiana. That's a nooner on CBS. Nebraska is at 18th ranked Wisconsin. That's at 1:00 Eastern on the Big Ten Network. Northwestern is at number 17 Illinois, 3:00 on the Big Ten Network. Some pretty good women's games in the Big Ten this weekend. Friday night, Indiana at Oregon. That's 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 o'clock Pacific on Big Ten Plus. Saturday, top 25 matchup for the women. 21st ranked Michigan State is at 24th ranked Michigan at Chrysler Arena. That's at noon Eastern on the Big Ten Network. And then on Sunday, Rutgers, the ladies are at Penn State. That's 1 o'clock at Big Ten Plus. And number one, an undefeated UCLA, 19-0 already. At number 8, Maryland, top 10 matchup. This is a good one. 2 p.m. Eastern, NBC and Peacock. Check that one out before you watch some conference championship football games in the NFL. 12th ranked Ohio State is at Nebraska, 3 o'clock Eastern on the Big Ten Network. And Wisconsin is at number 23, Minnesota, also at 3 o'clock on Big Ten Plus. So check that out. A lot of great hoops. All right, since we have hoops, and since it is Friday, you know what we like to do. We usually do pigskin picks. That's over. Although I got a little football for you. I do have the never too early Vegas odds for the national championship for the upcoming season for college football, but we do have some Big Ten picks to make as well. All that coming up right here. Hang around for that in 1 minute on Locked On Big Ten. Back on Locked On Big Ten. Let's take a look now at our picks segment. We transitioned from pigskin picks to basketball picks, and I'm going to put this full screen. If you are audio only, I will describe in detail what we have on screen. All right, we're going straight up money line. No point spreads on these right here. Men's basketball, Michigan is at Purdue. Both teams ranked. Dusty May, big fan of his. You know what? This is a Friday night game, 8 o'clock. I'm smelling an upset at West Lafayette. Michigan's been playing pretty good. Purdue stubbed its toe once or twice here, but Purdue's very good. Matt Painter got another great team there at Purdue. But I'm going to take Michigan in this game. All right, Michigan State going to Rutgers. 8th ranked Michigan State. This is a 1:30 game on Saturday. Dylan Harper, when he's in this lineup for Rutgers, they're a different team. So this is going to be a battle. I could see this game being like 65, 63, something like that. We'll see how that plays out. I'll take Michigan State, though. 15th ranked Oregon is at Minnesota, 4 p.m. Eastern on Saturday. Sad to say for Minnesota, this should be a layup for Oregon. Minnesota is just not too good. Although they did get that win against Michigan, didn't they? How about that? What else we got this weekend? Maryland is at Indiana on Sunday at noon. Indiana's just struggling. Just flat out struggling. I actually like the Terps in this one. Nebraska at 18th ranked Wisconsin. I think this is, since it's at Wisconsin, I'll go with Wisconsin. If this were in Nebraska, I definitely would take the Huskers. 1 p.m. Sunday. And then Northwestern at 17th ranked Illinois, the Battle of the State of Illinois, 3 p.m. on Sunday. I should take Illinois because it's at Illinois, but do not sleep on Northwestern. Coach Collins has them playing very well as of late. Okay. Now, let's move on and take a look at the never too early 2026 College Football National Championship odds. The odds-on favorite to win it all right now is Texas at plus 450. Ohio State next at plus 500. Ironic, isn't it? These are the two teams with the largest name, image, and likeness collective, over $20 million each. And remember, Texas will not have Quinn Ewers. It'll be Arch Manning's show this season. And as we mentioned earlier, Julian Sayin will be a quarterback for Ohio State instead of Will Howard. Georgia Bulldogs sitting there at plus 600 out of the SEC. Oregon Ducks back to the Big Ten at plus 750, as is Penn State out of the Big Ten. Alabama's next. There's a big jump from plus 750 to plus 1,300. Alabama. And then Notre Dame, the Fighting Irish, at plus 1,500 odds. Those are your top 7 teams right now if you want to do a little futures action on the football coming up for the upcoming season. There you have it. What do you think? All right. That'll do it, man. What a great show. Thank you for joining us. A lot of fun stuff to talk about here. If you want to reach out over the weekend, don't forget we're on Twitter at X at TalkBig10. Don't forget our website, talkbig10.com. You can go ahead and get your favorite school merchandise there as well. Again, Talk Big 10. That's the number 10, talkbig10.com. All right. And in addition to that, before you go, if you don't mind hitting that subscribe button down below, that would be great. And then follow this podcast right now on your favorite podcast app, and you'll get the latest episode of Locked On Big Ten as soon as it becomes available each and every day. Thanks so much for joining us. Have yourself a great weekend. We'll be right back at it with all the latest news, opinion, and analysis, all under one umbrella, all things Big Ten right here. This is your source for everything, all of it. And a little entertainment too, I hope, right here on Locked On Big Ten. Have a good weekend. Talk to you on Monday. I'm Craig Sheeman. We'll see you then.